Deadliest train disasters in history. Number 10. Aliyat train disaster, Egypt, 2002. 383 casualties. At 2 o'clock in the morning on February the 20th, 2002, a gas cylinder exploded in the fifth carriage of an Egyptian train. The enveloping fire quickly spread to the other carriages as the train kept speeding along its tracks until 2 hours later when the driver finally stopped. In the end, 7 carriages were burnt to cinders and almost 400 people lost their lives. The number of fatalities in this disaster was heavily contested, however, as the full passenger list was absent. Also, due to the intensity of the fire, many of the corpses were burned to ash, making identification impossible. Further, the train was overloaded, and it is believed that many passengers were killed when they jumped from the burning train. Though 383 is the official toll, many consider an amount of 1,000 casualties to be more accurate. Number 9. Awash rail disaster, Ethiopia, 1985. 428 casualties. The worst train disaster in the history of Africa occurred on January the 14th, 1985, close to the town of Awash. The town lies above the ravine on the Awash River. It was on nearing this town that the express train derailed after the engineer failed to reduce the speed at the curving bridge, plunging the train's carriages into the ravine. Of the estimated 1,000 passengers on board the train, 428 were killed, and almost all of the remaining passengers were badly injured. After the horrific accident, the train's engineer was arrested and charged with failing to reduce speed on approaching a curve. Number 8. Torre del Bierzo rail disaster, Spain, 1944. 200 to 500 plus casualties. On January the 3rd, 1944, near the village of Torre del Bierzo in Spain, a runaway mail train sped into tunnel number 20. Ahead of it was a shunting engine with 3 carriages trying to get out of harm's way. 2 of these carriages were still inside the tunnel when the mail train struck. From the opposite direction, a coal train with 27 loaded wagons was still approaching. The driver of the shunting engine tried to warn the coal train, but it still slammed into the shunting locomotive. The resulting fire burned for 2 days. As many people travelled without tickets, and the fire decimated all of the human remains, the true number of passengers on board was hard to estimate, but survivors claimed that the train was packed, as many were travelling to a Christmas fair. Number 7. Balvano train disaster, Italy, 1944. 521 to 600 plus casualties. During World War II, severe wartime shortages led to a considerable black market trade. By 1944, opportunists and budding entrepreneurs would stow away on freight trains to get to suppliers' farms. During this time, there were also critical shortages of high-quality coal. The burning of inferior substitutes produced massive amounts of odorless carbon monoxide gas. On the 2nd of March 1944, the substantially overloaded locomotive number 8017 stalled inside a steep tunnel. Its crew and passengers, including several hundred stowaways, were overcome by the fumes. The only survivors were those who managed to travel in the last few carriages that remained in the open air when the train stalled. Number 6. Ufa train disaster, Russia, 1989. 575 plus casualties. The most deadly railway accident in Soviet history occurred on the 4th of June 1989. A leak in the LPG pipeline caused a massive amount of propane gas to settle in a gully between the towns of Ashar and Ufa. When engineers noticed the drop in pressure, they simply increased the pressure to its normal levels instead of searching for possible leaks. At around 1:15 a.m., 2 trains carrying more than 1,200 passengers, many of whom were children, passed each other. The sparks created by their passing ignited the highly flammable clouds and resulted in an explosion that could be seen from 95 miles away. The resulting fireball fanned out for 1 mile, leveled trees for 2.4 miles, and destroyed both trains. Number 5. Guadalajara train disaster, Mexico, 1915. 600 plus casualties. In 1915, the Mexican Revolution was in full swing. President Venustiano Carranza ordered the families of his troops to be moved from Guadalajara, his newly captured stronghold. On the 22nd of January 1915, the specially adapted train, with its 20 grossly overloaded cars, departed from Colima. It is said that the cars were so stuffed with humanity, passengers were even clinging to the undercarriages and roofs. While going down a steep descent, the engineer lost control of the train. The train kept on gathering speed as it negotiated its way down the tracks and finally plummeted into a deep ravine. Less than a third of the official passenger count survived the accident. Number 4. Bihar train disaster, India, 1981. 500 to 800 casualties. On the 6th of June 1981, during India's monsoon season, a 9-car train that was carrying approximately 1,000 passengers plunged into the Bagmati River. The conditions that day were particularly rainy and windy, and the river's water levels were far higher than normal. As the train neared the bridge that crosses over the river, a cow crossed the tracks. In his attempt to avoid hitting the cow, the engineer braked too hard, causing the carriages to slide on the wet tracks and derail into the water. Help was hours away, and most of the passengers had drowned or been swept away by the time rescue services arrived. More than 300 bodies were never recovered. Number 3. Syria rail disaster, Romania, 1917, 600 to 1,000 casualties. During World War II, a passenger train suffered brake failure whilst descending down a very steep bank close to Sierra Station. The 26-carriage train carried refugees and wounded soldiers who were trying to flee the German advance. The engineers tried their best to slow the train, throwing it in reverse and operating the sanding equipment to increase the grip of the wheels, but the train only gathered speed. To prevent an accident with a second train at the bottom of the bank, the runaway train was switched into a loop. Due to the high speed, the runaway train unfortunately derailed and caught fire, killing hundreds on board. Number 2. Saint-Michel de Maurienne derailment, France, 1917, 800 to 1,000 casualties. On December 12, 1917, almost 1,000 French soldiers were returning home for the Christmas season. Due to nationwide shortages in both equipment and locomotives, they were carried in 2 trains coupled together and pulled by only 1 engine. Of the train's 19 carriages, only the first had 3 automatic air brakes, the rest were hand-braked or had none. While descending down the valley on the French side of the Alps, the driver applied the brakes, but the train continued gathering speed. As the brakes overheated, fires broke out under the carriages. After 4 miles, the first carriage derailed, and the rest of the carriages slammed into it, all catching fire within minutes. Due to the intensity of the fire, only 425 bodies from the close to 1,000 fatalities could be identified. Number 1. Sri Lanka tsunami rail disaster, 2004, 1,700 plus casualties. On December 26, 2004, a seafloor earthquake northwest of Sumatra produced a gigantic tsunami that killed approximately 280,000 people. On that fateful day, the Queen of the Sea was packed with more than 1,500 passengers. The train was 217 yards from the shore when the first wave struck. The water immediately stopped the train. Local residents and passengers, thinking the train would be a safe haven, climbed on top of it and hid behind it. The second wave was much larger. It tore the train off its tracks and rolled the carriages until it came to a halt. Those not crushed by the train quickly drowned as they lay trapped inside the cars. Only a handful of passengers survived. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe to our channel by clicking the subscribe button in the top right. Our channel has loads of other awesome videos just like this.